Hello there. So today I want to read something which I found rather interesting, and which I think a lot of people who might come across this might not have the necessary context to parse correctly. So this is from Lafitaux's Customs of the Savage American Compared to the Customs of Primitive Times. This section is headed Iroquois Tradition of Migration from West. The Indians in general are not unaware that they are foreigners in the lands which they inhabit at present. They say that they came from afar, from the direction of the west, that is to say, from Asia. The Agni, Mohawk Iroquois, assure us that they wandered a long time under the leadership of a woman named Gaihoniarosk. This woman led them all through the north of America. She made them go to the place where the city of Quebec is now situated, but, finding the terrain too irregular and the country perhaps too disadvantageous because of the cold, she stopped at last at Agni, Mohawk, where the climate seemed to her more temperate and the lands more suitable for cultivation. She then divided the lands for cultivation and thus founded a colony which has maintained itself ever since. This is the Mohawk story of their individual origin, which they claim is a little different from that of the other four Iroquois nations, for they claim not to be included under the name of Ganowag, or builders of lodges, by which the others are called. I do not know the reason for it, this claim on their part. The French and the other Indian tribes, however, do not make this distinction, and generally, under the name of Iroquois or Haudenosaunee, there are included 5 peoples who speak as many different dialects of the same languages. They are located in that part of New France, situated to the east of the Great Lakes and through which the St. Lawrence River passes. Their land is bordered by New York and the other lands of the English and French. They are divided into Upper and Lower Iroquois. The upper ones are the Junotdoans, Seneca, the Goyogoans, Cayuga, and the Onondagas, the Onondaga. The Lower Iroquois are the Agni, Mohawk, and the Onejut, Oneida. These 5 peoples, in spite of different reasons for jealousy, have always kept united, and to indicate their union, they say that they form a single house, which we call the Iroquois Longhouse. So, the interesting thing here is that this is the Mohawk story of their individual origin, which they claim is a little different from that of the other 4 Iroquois nations, for they claim not to be included under the name of Ganowag, or builders of lodges, by which the others are called. So the word he gives, Ganowag, this is related to Haudenosaunee. It's just got a different pronoun at the front. Ganowag is she has built a house. Haudenosaunee is they have built a house. So, by his reporting, the Mohawks do not consider themselves to be Haudenosaunee. Now, why is that? He doesn't know what the reason is. I do. The reason is that he's dealing with the Ganowag Mohawks. So Ganowag, all of the other St. Lawrence Mohawk communities, they were founded initially as sort of Catholic towns. So all of the Catholic converts down in the Mohawk River, they're experiencing friction with traditionalists. The religions are kind of, Christianity being monotheistic, being strictly monotheistic, and thou shalt have no gods before me, it conflicts with certain elements of traditional religion. And traditionalists, for their part, they did not like the Jesuits. Okay, these bloody witches are coming in here and sowing dissent. So eventually a bunch of Christian converts get together and they say, you know what, to heck with this. We're done with you guys. We're out. We're going to go start our own community out near those Jesuits. See you later. So Lafitau, he's talking about the community of Ganowag, who were not part of the Haudenosaunee. They'd left. So Lafitau, because he lacks any kind of context, he just assumes that Ganowag is a good representation of all Mohawk communities. The Mohawk in general do not consider themselves to be Haudenosaunee, whereas what the real case is that Ganowag did not consider itself to be Haudenosaunee. Lafitau had no experience with Mohawk communities along the Mohawk River. So that story of migration from the west, a place which he assumes is Asia, did that occur in time immemorial? Or did that occur in the mid-1600s when people moved to the St. Lawrence from the Mohawk River? We don't get to know. Isn't that exciting? So this is, again, another interesting example of the fallacy of composition. He assumes the whole from a part. This is a trap that Lafitau falls into all the time in his book. He'll talk about stuff that's happening now as though it's always been happening, and he'll talk about stuff that happened in the 1600s as though it's still going on in his time in the 1700s. It just sort of drives home that postmodernist point that it's always important to take into account the context in which the information is gathered. Anyway, I hope you found this interesting. Thank you for listening.